Who'd you talk to? What's going on? It's me, it's Mike Lepre, King Michael here with Legit Fantasy Football from LegitFantasySports.com. I'm playing some music. I got a shirt on that's super tight. Let me bring in Brother Ray. Brother Ray, how are we tonight?
Week from now, Jacksonville Jaguars will be on the clock.
This is true. Oh, literally a week. Literally, you're right. You're right. They're on the clock now, technically. But yeah, you're right. You're right. I got you. Hey, what do you think of the lead-in song I just played? Did you hear it?
Yeah, it was catchy. I like the dance routine too. I think that worked.
Yeah, I've been producing dance songs. Intros. Speaking of dancing and intros, it's the Card Hog, Mastradamus. What's going on, bud?
A lot's going on. I'm selling my PSA 10 Tom Brady Arroyo. Big things happen this week, and I'm always learning, and I'm not afraid to say that. I've been in this game a long time. I know a lot. I like to help people. Doesn't matter what lane it is. I like to try to, minus mistakes and help other people do the same thing. I'm learning really how to gauge what your value of your cards are, and I could have lost thousands of dollars by going and taking really low ball offers, and I just made thousands of dollars by not. I started driving to basically Toronto, and I turned around 2 hours into a 6.5 hour drive. I just kept telling myself I didn't like it. I didn't have a good feeling about it. So about 5 a.m, I come back on home. But ever since then, I've learned how to really value where cards are. I'm selling cards on an offline site where I'm not getting taxed or fees. And I just let go of a beautiful Rob Gronkowski. I was sad to see him go, but a kid got him, and Virginia loves him. And that's the gift of card giving and continuing. This kid's gonna have a piece. Could be his biggest card in his collection. And to me, it was just a rock on the side of the mountain,
Yeah, you know what? Hey, that's refreshing to hear about, seeing how we got the draft coming up. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to hear stuff like that. So, Brother Ray, with the draft coming up, I was writing down like ideas of things that they haven't really brought up yet on TV shows. And they've brought up quite a lot. Like if there was one draft that I think got more media coverage ever, it was definitely this year. I think without a combine, I think people went nuts. And then I think the boom in teams having their own podcasts and stuff like that just made it like there's media everywhere. No, a guy runs up the stairs, somebody's timing him, and they're writing it down. You know what I mean? It's become ridiculous. But with that though, we've gotten some good things, and I'm gonna start with this because this is where I stand. I finally agree with Tom Brady, and I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I read the article. I got up. I walked around. I was shaking my head like I can't believe this. I cannot believe I agree with Tom Brady. Came down, read it again. I do. So there's a new rule change, and Tom Brady was like the only one to vocally be against it, and he caught some heat for it because they were like, he's old. That's why he's mad about it. But they passed a rule that running backs, receivers, tight ends, and cornerbacks can all wear single-digit uniforms, like in college. And Brady's like, how you going to know who to block? How you going to know what's going on? And I'm going, yeah, tight end should wear 80s, right? I got mad when receivers started to wear the 17s and the 13s. I'm being honest. I was like, there's no 80s that you could wear? They wear certain numbers for a reason. That's old school football. If they start doing this where anybody can wear any number, I'm not going to enjoy watching it. Think about it. When you're watching a game, you see a guy wearing number 50 and he's running this way. You immediately know he's a linebacker. But if that guy's wearing number 1 or 2, what do you guys think about that? Ray, you start. You're older.
I'm a traditionalist. You know how I feel about this. It cheapens the game. I mean, you're basically doing this for the players, and it's the young players, because you don't want, when these players come out, they're gonna try and buy their jersey from a veteran. The veteran's gonna go tell them to go F themselves, and now they're mad. So that's why this is happening, because these prima donnas come out of college and they can't get their jersey. They can't get their number one. They can't wear that, playing wide receiver. So I think it's a bad thing for the league. And I agree with Tom Brady. Oh my God.
That's my point. But all those positions, think about all those positions: running backs, receivers, tight ends, cornerbacks, all wearing single-digit numbers. Matt?
I agree. I think that you have to have a number that, I mean, God, I know the numbers. It's funny that people, like to change things. Why can't things just remain the same? I don't understand.
I just think because you can change something doesn't mean you should. I think change for the sake of change is no good, right? It's going to be no good because after this, what happens? The colors of the uniforms. What comes next if we start giving in to the players and then saying, all right, hey, Micah Parsons, you wore 11 in college. Yeah, you can wear 11 again. I don't want to see a linebacker wearing 11. No thanks. Like, for real, no thanks. I don't want to see a wide receiver wearing 11, but I'm alone on that, I think. Because I hated that. I hated the teams already when Plax wore 17 and Odell was 13.
See what I like is, Belichick, when Stidham was drafted, I think the best thing he did to Stidham was he gave him a linebacker number in camp. He didn't give him a quarterback number. He gave him 50-something to say, hey, buddy, you haven't made the team yet. You're not in that quarterback room yet. You haven't proven anything. And Stidham wore that 50-something jersey, but that's the way it's got to be. Hey, rookie, we tell you what you're going to wear, not the other way around.
And as basketball purists, if a number's in the single digits or the teens, it should be a quarterback, punter, or kicker. If it's in the 80s, that's a wide receiver. Same thing for tight ends, although you could have a tight end be in the 40s as an H-back. Fullback should be in the 40s, just like safeties. Cornerbacks are in the 20s, could be in the 30s. Running backs are in the 20s and the 30s. Sometimes the 40s, but only if they're big, right? Am I wrong with any of these numbers? Linebackers are in the 50s. Every now and then you catch a linebacker like 49, but that's
90s too. They could be in the 90s.
Yeah, true. And then the line is for defense is 90s and 70s. The offensive line is 60s and 50s. Right?
For the most part, yeah.
When we watch a game, we know where everybody is, and you want to go changing numbers. That don't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But all right. So, did you see where Max Kellerman the other day said probably the dumbest thing I've heard him say on ESPN? And then Stephen A. Smith, who I think is an idiot, and that other guy, Dan Orlovsky, the one who just yells, the one who's yelling for no reason. And what I'm trying to say is, and you're like, Dan, relax, Dan, I got it. But so Max Kellerman goes, if I were the Giants, I would trade up and take a quarterback. Why? So they start laying into him. Why, Max? He's like, well, I'm not saying trade Daniel Jones. You play Daniel Jones, but then you'd have this quality backup behind him to trade afterwards. And it's like, what sense are you making? Why would you draft a quarterback just to sit on the bench to use as trade bait a year later? What kind of sense does that make? You're going to trade up, waste some picks to take another quarterback that you plan on keeping on the team to trade. That's what he eventually said. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard someone say. Ray, does that make any sense at all?
It makes no sense. And you got to understand, too, they say these things just for clickbait. So he'll come out and say something really stupid about the New York team, knowing that everybody's going to want to see the soundbite because it's completely ridiculous and stupid. That's why that show and shows like that, it's all about clickbait. There are no experts on those panels. Darren Orlovsky, come on. Like, you can't pick another third-string quarterback out there that had a cup of coffee in the NFL that you can put on one of those panels. That's what it is now. It's all clickbait. Why would the Giants, after they took him, Danny, with the number 6 pick, I believe, right, in the draft?
Yep.
So now you're going to come back. You're going to trade up, trade additional assets, and take another quarterback with a guy who's been in the league for 2 years already. I don't know. Yeah.
That's what he said, though. That's what he said. That's what he friggin' said. And then I think he made you realize halfway through how dumb he was, because he just got even dumber. They were like just picking shots at him. Matt, does that make any sense at all to you?
I got to be honest with you guys. I'm like I told you, I'm selling my Tom Brady card, and I have to maintain it on this website. And you caught me actually updating it. So I was floating around there, and that's what I forgot to say in the very beginning. If you catch me floating around in this episode, it's I'm updating. People putting in money.
You know Matt Kellerman from ESPN?
I do.
Yeah. He said that the Giants should trade up and draft a quarterback to keep on the bench so next year they can use him as trade bait. Everybody made fun of him. So am I. How does that make any sense to you at all? Why would you waste on anything to trade up to get a quarterback if you're the Giants just to trade him away?
The only reason why it would make sense is because next year there's going to be a lack of options at quarterback. So I could see him saying it for that reason. But that's
Anybody who plays that far in advance and doesn't think about it right now is going to lose. Anybody who thinks he's that smart where he can plan it out that much, where I'm going to draft a quarterback and then next year the market's going to be so dead that, man, am I going to Dude, once a quarterback becomes a backup, he pretty much he gets us a drop. Dramatic.
Speaking of the Giants and quarterbacks, should they not be seriously entertaining the options of a quarterback right this second anyway? I'm just saying, if Danny Dimes doesn't do it this year, he's flat dead. No, take the life support off.
Check two.
If you can upgrade the position, you have to. And next year is really not an option. So Max, as much as it does sound crazy, is kicking some knowledge.
See, now I'm fearful about you selling anything, because that's absolutely ridiculous. He's the best quarterback in the NFC East next year. Write that down. Oh yeah. In the NFC, write it down. Write it down. Third year, Daniel Jones. We know we're going to go for it. I hope to God this is true. An offensive lineman. We're going to take the best offensive lineman possible because that's all we need. That's all we need to shore that up. Danny Dimes is going to be better than Jalen Hurts. He's going to be better than Dak Prescott. And he's going to be better than whoever plays for the Redskins.
Fitzmagic?
He's going to be the best quarterback in the NFC East next year. You watch. I
would rather have Fitzmagic than Danny Dimes. I would even go as far as saying Fitzpatrick might even have like double the amount of, like twice as much as touchdowns as Danny Dimes does this year. And I would go ahead and say he's got less to work with than Danny Dimes does, and he'll have more production.
I'm going to go ahead and say that most people click off this show or fall asleep at the 14-minute mark. Total stupidity. Best in the NFC East. Truly.
I'm just saying he's a more aggressive approach at quarterback. I would say Fitzpatrick is, and I mean if we looked at Danny Dimes numbers and they could have a very successful offensive line this year, so potentially for them to be better. But
Danny's overly aggressive. That's why he makes all those fumbles and whatnot. All right, moving along from that. Oh my God, that hurt.
You don't think that Fitzpatrick turns the ball over a shit ton?
What's that?
Fitzpatrick does the same thing. He's very aggressive, turns the ball over, but still has a little bit more magic and success, I would say, than Danny Dimes.
Well, so far he has. I would agree with that.
So when you say he's the best quarterback of the NFC East
next year, Danny Dimes will be the best quarterback in the NFC East. Yes, he will. The only one he's going to work a little bit is Dak Prescott. Jalen Hurts stinks.
And year two, listen, this is
they wouldn't even announce him as the starter. He stinks
because they are being like this. We're not giving you anything, kid. They will. No, he doesn't stink.
I saw him last year.
He probably has a lot upstairs. He probably is feeling himself right now. And they're telling him, slow your roll, dude. You're not as hype as you think you are. And get your head in the book. We don't want you to be they probably like him, but he needs to be tough loved. He's probably a little dummy. He's got a little young kid off the block attitude on him.
We'll see. He won't be the best because he won't be the best. Fitzpatrick won't be the best wherever they roll out. I get worried about Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott will not perform as well as Daniel Jones this year. There, that's been said. Ray, question for you. How unique is Kyle Pitts? Because I'm hearing now.
Hold on. He's generational.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nice one.
Is that what's going to happen? He's generational? Because what I'm hearing is he doesn't get past the Falcons.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What is it with that? Has anybody else heard that? He does not get past the Falcons.
I think he deserves the number 4 pick, and he does not get by the Falcons 100%. The Falcons are saying there, who's going to give us the bank for pick 4? Because it's going to take the bank to get us away from full Pitts. And I think that even if they do, they want to put themselves in a position to get a prime player. They want the Brinks truck backed up, and they rightfully they should.
I think the Falcons will trade out of that spot, but Pitts is that kind of a player. I think teams are looking at him not just as a tight end; they're looking at him as a legitimate X wide receiver. Again, this guy looks like Calvin Johnson. When you look at the pro day workout, you see Calvin Johnson. You see a sub 4.5 40. You see ridiculous bench press. You see a 42-inch vertical. You see him make moves on the field like a wide receiver, at 6'6", 250. So, yeah, he is that special. And he's probably the best red zone weapon to come out, I don't know, 5-6 years.
All right. So then the next headline I keep reading is that an NFL QB coach, well, there's 2 of them, spoke out and said that Mac Jones is the most ready to start day 1. Like hands down, they think Mac Jones will transition by far the easiest. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think he's right up there with Trevor Lawrence, the kind of plug and play. He doesn't have the athletic ability that these other guys have.
Not at all.
He may not have the arm talent that these guys have, but he has the touch. He has it upstairs, and he has the ability to lead a team. That Senior Bowl week turned a lot of heads. He walked in there. He carried himself like an 8-year pro. He took over the team, ran every practice, and really showed unbelievable ability, especially during the practice week. He's a plug and play player. I mean, you put him in there, he has those intangibles, He does everything well. He doesn't do anything special, but he really checks all the boxes. And a lot of these quarterback prospects coming out don't all check the boxes.
I got a quarterback that I compare him to, not the release, but maybe the ugliness of the whole release motion and just the way that he throws. And that's Bernie Kosar. I know that Bernie wasn't the greatest QB ever, but Bernie had that kind of arm where it wasn't a gun, but he dropped it in everywhere, just like Mac Jones kind of does. He has that funky Mac Jones, when he steps back to throw, it's just not the cleanest, most beautiful looking thing. He just looks all clunky, but it doesn't matter. That ball comes out and it's that perfect little drop. So he reminds me of a right-handed Bernie Kosar, if that makes any sense. Matt, what do you think of? I know you love Mac Jones, but what do you think of Mac Jones now? Finally, starting to get some love he deserves, but still probably won't break the top 4 picks.
I don't love Mac Jones.
No? Didn't you used to like Mac Jones, right?
No.
Oh, you hate Mac
I
Jones?
always said that he would probably go to number 4, but I'm not the biggest fan of Mac Jones. I think he'll be sensible. I think he'll be good. I think he had a lot of talent around him, and he did very well in the 17 games in collegiate career that he had. I think he'll be all right. the mistakes that he did make when he did make it, you're like, what are you doing? I think he's going to be good. I think that he's going to get overdrafted and he'll have some success. But what are we going to compare him to? Like Kirk Cousins? Like, I don't know, Kirk Cousins. Can you really look at Kirk Cousins in a good light? I wouldn't want him to lead my franchise.
All right, so you don't think that he's going to be? You think he's going? You don't think he's going to be a star in the NFL? What quarterbacks will?
I think that. Well, honestly, there's not a lot of good quarterback play in the NFL these days. So could he be? Yeah, and that's probably why these quarterbacks are being highly sought after this year. There's not a lot of good quarterback play.
All right, but I mean, out of the guys coming out, who do you think will actually be successful?
Oh, I think that this quarterback draft class will always be remembered as a very good. I think they all are going to be very good. I think that Justin Fields is going to be exceptional. I think Zach Wilson is going to be great, and I think Trevor Wilson is too. I think Trey Lance is going to be a project, but we'll see. I love Trey Lance. I like watching him play, but I don't know if he's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be, one of these top, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. I do believe in Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson is going to be phenomenal. I think he's ready. I think that.
Drug Month at Elmwood Chrysler.
Oh, hey now, what the Christ was that?
Warlock for only $359.
We don't care.
With 0 due at signing. And during the
Hold on.
celebration event,
Stop. What is going on?
Cherokee Laredo leases are just.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I like Zach Wilson and I like Justin Fields. I think Trevor Lawrence, the three of them themselves are all going to be rock solid. And then, go ahead.
All right. Every year there's like 3 or 4 quarterbacks drafted, right? Mm-hmm. And not many of them turn out well. So again, I'm going to ask, like, do you really think that they're all going to be successful? Right. Do you think they'll all be successful, all 4 or 5 of them?
It depends where they go, though, King. It's not always on the player. It's on the situation they're coming in. Like Wilson this year. For me, I think Wilson is probably 5th on my list as far as the quarterbacks. I'm not convinced that he's going to be the guy. I'm really not convinced that he's going to be the guy.
No.
And I think going to the Jets might even be worse that he's going to a team like that. But I mean, I think all of those other guys are going to have potential. I think Trey Lance is more accurate and makes better decisions than you may think. He's raw, but I know that a lot of teams are drooling over this kid because of his size and what he brings.
Who does North Dakota State play?
That's a good point. But then if you're going to say that, then you have to give Mac Jones credit for playing in the SEC.
True.
Yeah,
agreed.
But you know what? Did he take advantage of a very, very good Alabama team and a COVID year? I mean, this was definitely the best Alabama team. I've said it before. I think this is the best Alabama team I've ever seen in my lifetime, and in many areas. So, and at the same time, when you're very good and everybody else is very bad, you can really look very good. And I think that that's the case with him. And I think he's good, but, we'll see. I mean, he's not going to have the lineup that he had in college and on an NFL team. And he's not going to be going against that type of, caliber of competition. So we'll see very quickly. I'm not a fan.
All right. I wanted to go do something real quick. Sports Illustrated ranked the top 20 quarterback classes. This is what I mean by when quarterbacks that come out, which ones actually turn out good. I'm only going to do from 10 down. All right. The 10th ranked class was 2011. And I'm just going to do the first 2 rounds. So if they came out later, like Tyrod Taylor came out in the 6th round in this one, not counting them. The first 2 rounds got Cam Newton, Jake Locker, Blaine Gabbert, Christian Ponder, and then you got Andy Dalton and Colin Kaepernick. Now, that's a whole draft class where they thought those guys were all going to be great. I remember the hype for that. 2008, first 2 rounds. Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, Brian Brom, Chad Henne. All right, the first 2 are pretty good, right? 2003, round 1, Carson Palmer, Byron Leftwich, Kyle Bowler, Rex Grossman. Second round is Dave Ragoni and Chris Sims. That's a horrendous class in my opinion, right? But there's one big name there. Number 7, 2020, Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love. Second round, Jalen Hurts. And then you go 4th round, Jacob Eason, who are they going to give Jacob Eason a shot in Indy, or he's just got no chance?
Once Wentz flames out, yeah, sure. If Wentz flames out, then, he's a good gamble to have on the roster, Eason.
All right. 2001, round 1. Only one
He'll get a shot because Carson Wentz is with bottom.
All right. 2001, only one in the first round, Michael Vick. In the second round was Drew Brees, Quincy Carter, and Marquise Tuiasosopo. I can't pronounce the names. Still, like what I'm trying to say is how many of these names actually turned out good? They're getting, unfortunately. 2005, Alex Smith, Aaron Rodgers, Jason Campbell. That's it. No second round quarterback taken. 2012, round 1, Andrew Luck, Robert Griffin III, and Ryan Tannehill. And then Brandon Weeden. Second round was Brock Osweiler. Other than like a couple of names, how good is it? All right. 2018 was number 3, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson. Okay. 2017 was Mitchell Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. And then in the second round, Deshaun Kaiser. I guess that's the top 2. Here it is. The number 1 draft quarterback class they have as Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, J.P. Lossman, and Matt Schaub. Makes me wonder what happened to J.P. Lossman, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not taking the 1980 82 draft. 82 draft with Elway, Marino.
83, 84, I thought, wasn't it? It's got to be in here some way up, probably. I'm looking for scrolling way
82,
up.
I thought, or 83.
Yeah, they left that one out, but that was probably I would have ranked that one as because it had
Kelly,
Elway, Ken O'Brien,
Jim Kelly, 3 Hall of Famers.
Warren Moon.
Famers in that draft.
Wasn't Warren Moon in that one?
Well, he was at Edmonton at the time, so they may have drafted him later, and then he came over. So then that would be 4 Hall of Famers.
So I would say that that draft class and then the Giant and the one where Eli, Ben, Rivers, those guys went, those are the 2 best draft classes for quarterbacks so far. I would say they had the most like Pro Bowlers, Hall of Famers. You know what I mean? Like these other drafts, you get like 1 quarterback, 2 quarterbacks, and then right. What I'm trying to say is when I mention these names, there's certain names you remember hearing hype about, like a ton of hype about in college, and they just flamed. So it's like, we're talking about 5 quarterbacks. How many are going to actually make it?
But it's different this year because those years, a lot of those quarterbacks weren't as highly rated. The 5 quarterbacks in this draft, in this first round, they're all projected to be top 10 picks. Like they're all graded to be top 10 picks. That wasn't the case in these other drafts. A lot of those were second round picks later in the first round. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, when he came out, right, he was one of the last picks in the first round. These guys are all going to go in the top 10 picks, and they're all ranked as top 10 talent.
Is that because we're overinflating the quarterback? Like the quarterbacks become such a bigger the touchdowns are becoming like ridiculous, right? They throw in more touchdowns, so the quarterbacks become more important. The running back we don't take anymore. It's just now all the quarterback.
Another factor with that is the rest of the draft class. So comparative to the rest of the draft class, they're in the top 10. If this was 2 years ago and you had, a ton of defensive tackles or some really blue chip defensive players coming out, maybe they'd be lower. But this year they're all top 10, all 5.
All right. Next question will be, how far down does Micah Parsons' personal life drop him in this draft, in your opinion? Because I'll be honest, from what I'm hearing, like if he hits where the Giants are, the Giants will pass. They're not going to get burned again because they had what's his face, the cornerback. Baker.
I
So
think it's a mirage. I think everybody wants Parsons. Everybody. I think everyone sees what he can do on tape. They see the athletic ability. They see the potential. And they're all like, yeah, well, he's had some issues at school. And yeah, he's a bully and he had some bullying issues. These are the smoke screens that happen before the draft. There may be teams that trade up to get him. I think the Dolphins could take him at 6. I really do. I think all these teams are saying, I think they could. You're going to understand he's a Mike. Not only is he a Mike, but he can play inside on a 4-3. He can play outside in a 4-3 or a 3-4. You can put his hand on the ground, and he can rush on third down. Players like that don't come around too often.
Yeah, but look, he's a bully, right? One, that could be a good thing for a linebacker. You want your linebackers to be a bit of a bully, but if he can't stop bullying people everywhere he goes, like it's happened on more than one occasion, that's the whole issue. In the locker room, that might not flow with an NFL team. You know what I mean? He might catch some old school defensive lineman that puts him up against a locker and explains the rules to him. So I'm just wondering if like that could affect the locker room. I mean, we got Logan Ryan for one reason, not because he was a good cornerback safety, but because he would come in and help us coach the locker room. Like he would help change the whole atmosphere. So I don't know. I mean, you know what it is? You look at Warren Sapp and you go, you see, they should have never paid attention to what was said about him. But then you see other guys, you're like, I wish they would have paid attention to what they said about him. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, where do you fall on this? Do you take the safe route or you just go all in on the guy? Because he's a first rounder. It's not like he's a third rounder and you're taking that fly on him. You're just flying on him. This is a first round talent. But you know.
Top 10 talent. There's no question. None.
What do I know? All right. Moving on to this next topic. The defensive ends, the edges. The fact that they called edge rushers, I don't like. I don't like it. All right, but have you noticed that their value is dropping? Has been dropping. Like it. We started this whole pre-draft a couple weeks ago, and on our shows we were talking about the defensive ends, and now defensive ends are falling dramatically in this draft. There's an issue at every one of them. Unlike any other position, people want to say this about that end, this about this end, this about that edge. Every edge rusher they got something to say about. Where do the edge? Because there's going to be a run on them, but where does it happen? Brother Ray, when do you think it happens?
There will be 5 defensive ends drafted in the first round. 5.
When though? It's out of the top 12.
I don't believe that. I think Dallas could take one. I do think it's going to be in the teens. That's where you're going to see the run. It'll go from the teens probably to the 20s. That will probably be because of, number one, the quarterbacks. You got 5 quarterbacks. They're going to take up 5 picks in the top 10. You then have 3 wide receivers that could take those other 3. So that's 8 picks in the first 10. So that's why the defensive ends will get pushed. But, I mean, I'm looking at my list. Kwity Paye, I mean, no doubt. Azeez Ojulari, Jalen Phillips, Gregory Rousseau, Jason Owe, and those guys.
Everyone you just mentioned. I can tell you exactly what the scouts have said wrong about every single one of those guys you mentioned. That's my problem with this class. Like, there is no dominant edge guy. They all kind of got like they could be great if this happens. You know what I'm trying to say?
I disagree with Kwity. I think Kwity can play in any alignment.
It was numbers for him. It's numbers. What did he actually do for numbers?
That's college. You got to look at the pressures. He had 12 pressures in 3 games this year. They played 4 games. In 3 games, he had 24 pressures. That's 8 pressures a game. That's not getting the sack, but you're basically in the quarterback's face forcing him to get rid of the ball.
I guess.
It's not always the sacks.
Yeah. The other thing is there's going to be a run at cornerbacks right around 9-10. Right around that 7, 8, 9, 10, you're going to get 2 or 3 cornerbacks, I think. I think you might get you're going to get Surtain, you're going to get Horn, and you're going to get what's his face? The one I keep forgetting. The other guy. The one who had the injury issue, but he'll be all right for the draft. Come on, the other one. Who?
Yeah,
Farley.
will get selected.
Farley, yeah.
He's stopped. Yeah. He might even
Farley.
actually get picked first now. They actually.
You think he goes first out of the three? Matt.
They're not. His stock is actually starting to come back up. I'm not saying he's going to go first, but I am saying that he will be a first-round pick again. They were saying that they were shying away from him, but now I'm here, and he'll be all right.
Where do you rank them, Ray? The three of them.
I mean, I have Surtain first. I think he might go to Dallas. I think he could very well go to Dallas.
In Dallas, yep.
But then I would go Samuel, Farley, and Horn. I mean, Horn's good too. I mean, there's 4 legitimate studs, I think.
Cornerbacks?
Yes.
All right. Let's do our mock. Let's break it down. Hey, by the way, want to hear something funny? The other night when I was 9 out of 10 in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last night I was
There's a lot of good corners.
I was 3 for 3 and I won, and then I went 4 for 5 and I lost. So last night I was 7 out of 8.
Oh,
I'm killing it right now though, as far as like my numbers.
wow.
Baseball's actually easier to pick in my opinion if you check and see how rested the team is and the pitcher. That's the God's honest difference. If the pitcher's healthy, doesn't matter who's better or not. That's what it just seems like it is in baseball. All right. As every draft board starts, we just put Trevor Lawrence at number 1. I don't
Imagine if they went Fields.
Baseball is the easiest. I love baseball.
Is Matt, you got something weird going on where you're like,
There's a delay. Yeah, it's like a delay.
Look. All right. What if Zach? Like, what if Zach went? Like, you know what I mean? Number 1. Like, what if somebody like that went? They would be hated. That organization. Everybody would know. Even if they didn't make the wrong choices, we don't know. They would all boo them. That would be the biggest boo session ever. Now, where is it this year? The draft?
Oh, it's in Houston?
Did Houston get picked?
No, Cleveland. They're in Cleveland.
Oh boy.
Cleveland.
Why would they do that? Why would you do that? Why would you go to Cleveland? Who goes to Cleveland other than maybe like Canton? All right. Number 2. Who goes number 2? Who do the Jets ruin? You still sticking with because I'm telling you it's gonna be Justin. Well, I'm not gonna tell you, but I feel like it's gonna be Justin Fields. I don't think it's gonna be Zach Wilson. I've been saying that. That's been my train of thought creeping over the last couple of weeks. More I'm hearing. Who do the Jets take, Ray?
I think they should take Fields. I don't think Wilson should be the pick there. I mean, he had a great pro day workout, but I mean, I've seen Fields play better competition. I saw Fields do in his pro day basically what Wilson did, and he's a better athlete. So I'm not saying that Wilson's a bad athlete, but Fields is just special. I think they're going to go Wilson, but I think it should be Fields.
All right, let's do this draft based on who we think they should take. I think it'd be better that way. Trevor Lawrence will put, then we'll put the Jets taking Fields because that's what I think they should. I think we think. Matt, are you in real time with us right now? Matt, is Matt in real time?
No, well.
All right. Number 3, San Francisco. They would take Zach Wilson if that's the case, right?
Yeah, that's the case. I mean, I guess it. Who knows? It could be Mac Jones, though. I mean, that's the thing.
Trey Lance. Yeah, but you're right. You're right. But no, but I would think they'd have to take Zach Wilson. I do. I think they would take Zach Wilson. I think if they got him at 3, they take Zach. I think they would. I don't think they would skip on him.
He's right down the street. So I mean, West Coast kid.
All right, number 4, Atlanta. Atlanta's got to trade out of there. If they don't, they're taking. If they don't, they're taking. What's his face? Pitts. Number 5 would be Cincy.
I think so.
It's got to be Sewell, right?
It's got to be Sewell, but I would not be surprised if it's Chase.
Hello?
We can't hear you at all. He's been froze for a while. Oh, he's up. Oh, we saying stuff.
Back?
Nope.
No.
It's like a 20-second, more like a couple-minute delay, I think.
Yeah, big delay.
Right. It can't be. We can't put Chase. We got to put Sewell. We got to put Sewell. They got to take.
They should take Sewell.
Then that's Miami.
If Chase is there, I think it's going to be Chase.
They like Slater too. I heard.
They like Slater, but they took 3 offensive linemen last year in the draft. They can't. They just signed another offensive lineman, so can't.
All right, I'll put Chase. Arizona's up next. Arizona wanted Pitts. They don't get Pitts. They don't need wide receivers per se. They need cornerbacks. That's what they need. They might be the first ones to take like a Horn right in the spot, or Surtain, whatever you pronounce it. Who do you want to put in that spot? Because I think they'd come up and grab. They give it the best cornerback on the market right there. So it'd be what, Patrick Surtain?
I would say Patrick Surtain, but I mean I know they just signed AJ Green and
Sewell.
They have D-Hop, but I mean, would they pass on
Sewell.
Devontae Smith in that offense? I don't know.
They need a cornerback.
They do. Let's give them Surtain.
All right. Number 8, Carolina. Now, to sit with those 3 wide receivers right there, Carolina would probably take Devonta Smith.
I think it's him or Waddle. I really do. It's not going to be defense. They're not going defense with this pick. I can tell you that.
Could be offensive line too. Could be. I've seen Slater go here in so many mock drafts because they do need an offensive lineman too. Now it depends on what they think of their wide. They have a bunch of young wide receivers. They do. They just with Robbie Anderson, they have that tall one. So do they need a wide receiver or do they need Rashawn Slater?
I'd say Slater would be the safer pick. But he's not the stud, though, that those other guys are. He's not a top 10 talent. Depends. Like, if you're going best player available, you're going to take Smith.
All right, I'm going to put them in with Slater just if for some reason it sounds like it fits the draft need. Denver would go what?
Quarterback.
They're saying that they love Locke. Wade Locke looks. They're looking forward to having him have competition in quarterback camp. But does that mean that they're going to draft a quarterback or are they going to go and grab a wide receiver or something like that?
I mean, have we picked Trey Lance yet? Trey Lance and Mac Jones are still there, right?
Yeah, we always have Trey Lance going to Denver.
They're doing backflips in their war room if this actually happens.
So then at number 10, Dallas, either Parsons or I would say they'd go like a Horn or they need a cornerback. They need a cornerback. Like Dallas needs another cornerback really bad. But
I mean, I would say I know they're going to go defense. I would say Parsons if he's there because he likes to make a splash.
See, here's the thing. You realize 10, 11, 12 goes Giants. It goes Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, all in the NFC East, right? And I feel like there's a really good chance that Parsons ends up in Philly. Worst place I'd want him to end up, right? Don't want him with the Eagles. But imagine you're the Cowboys and Giants, and you both pass them up, and you left on the Eagles. Imagine how pissed he'll be. You know what I'm trying to say? Like the 2 teams directly in front, you're gonna just pass on him. Let him let that be Devonta Smith that's pissed. Like, you know what I mean? Let it be someone like that that's pissed. Not Micah Parsons. Parsons will kill us all. You know what I mean?
I will say that a lot of mock drafts I've seen and a lot of talk is Kwity Paye to the Cowboys.
I saw that too. I don't see you're the one that likes Parsons there. I don't. I like Dallas to take a cornerback.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I would say Horn.
All right, the Giants at 11. If Slater, though, he's gone. They don't value. They like that. What's that? Elijah Vera Tucker. Is that who's the offensive lineman?
Yeah, they're thinking he's going to be a guard. They're thinking they can switch him to guard.
They want to trade back to take him. They don't feel right taking him at 11. They want to trade back to take him. Now, if they don't trade back, though, this is going to put the Giants in a messed up situation. Because I think if they're in this situation and Horn's off the board, Surtain's off the board, because that's the other position we would go for as cornerback, right? They might take one of the wide receivers, Waddle or Smith, right? They like that's what they would do it at number 11.
I think one of those guys could be there. I mean, could be the pick. I also think Kwity Paye would fill a lot of spots on that line because they lost a defensive tackle. They need an edge. They needed someone on the outside. Kwity can fill both of those spots. And they play a 3-4. They play that hybrid 3-4, that Miami plays, that values someone like Kwity who can play inside, outside, and can stand up and play that outside linebacker in a 3-4.
I just don't see the Giants taking him there. It's like I don't want to say it's too soon for him, but it's like they could trade back and he might be there a couple picks back. Like I feel like those wide receivers, if they are that talented, how do you pass on one of those two guys right there? You're not going to be at number 11 again, is what I'm saying. And Kwity Paye is you see him as a whatchamacallit?
I do. I see him as an every down player. But if you're going to go wide receiver there, I would say for the Giants, Waddle may be the best match because he can play in the slot and he complements what they already have. They already have a number 1 now. So I think he would be good as a slot guy, whereas, Smith is kind of like that number 1. But Waddle is a special teams player too. And you got Judge as the coach. So.
All right. Before I do number 12 with the Eagles, let's just talk about, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but the safety out of TCU, Trevon Moehrig.
Yes.
All right. He's come out of nowhere on draft charts. Like you want to use another cliche? He's flying up the boards. There's a cliche that actually fits this guy. He's flying up the draft boards. Why? Ray, why? Why
6'2", he's 6'2", 200 pounds, runs a 4.5 40. He's got size enough to play in the box. And that's what teams want. They want someone that can come in and mix it up in the box, support the run, and also cover that tight end. Like you need that guy down the middle that's going to take Gronkowski, off of that seam route. That's the big thing with Moehrig. He's very versatile in that respect.
You know what? What's odd enough is me and him are very similar. I too like to play in the box and cover the tight end.
He'll be here all week, folks.
I'm here all week.
Try the veal.
2 shows a night. Try the veal. All right. So then the Eagles take the receiver that doesn't get drafted. They take Devonta Smith if they can. If not, they go with Waddle. If there's one of them left, that's what the Eagles take, right?
Yeah. Or Parsons is still there. Kwitty's still there. I mean, right now that number 12 pick looks pretty good.
Yeah, but who does Jalen Hurts have to throw to? Who is receivers?
Nobody. No, they would take Smith there because I think that the Deshaun Jackson comparison is good. They took a chance on Deshaun Jackson. He's 160 pounds. Jerry Rice banged the table, and now you get the same thing with Smith. Everyone that's coached him or played against him is banging that table. Like, I don't care what he weighs. He's a number 1 receiver who's going to be an all-pro.
Didn't they get burned on last year's pick with Justin Reagor?
Yeah, Reagor, to be honest with you, he did get hurt, and I know that set him back, but he really isn't a number 1 receiver. He never will be a number 1 receiver. He just doesn't have that in him. He's more of a number 2. He's got great speed, but I guess it just didn't work for him last year. I don't see him as a true number 1.
They seem to make a lot of bad choices at wide receiver. Them and the Patriots do not have the greatest draft history when it comes to wide receivers. Some teams do, some teams don't. All right, I'm not going to go further than 12. This is where we've been keeping it. What I want to talk about is this then, Ray. So next week we're going to go live, cover the draft. Hopefully Matt will be here and he won't be on time delay. See now he gets it. See, it's like a minute later.
Free Matt. Free Matt.
Free Matt. What trades do you think would happen? What trades are you waiting for? Which ones are you most expecting?
I mean, it's the Falcons.
Number 4.
Absolutely the Falcons.
And then
after that,
Cincy won't trade. I don't think Miami will trade. I don't. Arizona.
There's talk this week about Miami trading down. They've already been approached by several teams because you got 5, right? 5 quarterbacks. Atlanta trades out. There goes the 4th one. I think Miami could possibly trade down.
See, that's how the Giants news broke this week. It's that the Giants are looking to trade down. It was announced by Ian Rappaport. And Ian Rappaport, if he says it, it's usually true, right? He's that good, I think. But like, I think that's true, but it's bullshit because right now I think every team right now is looking to either trade up or trade down. I think they all are, except for the Jaguars, right? If you were the Jaguars, Ray, what type of trade would it take to get you to trade out of number 1 and give up on Trevor Lawrence? What would it take? What kind of package? Hey, package. Go ahead.
It would take a quality veteran player, like really good, at least 1, and probably 3 number 1 picks, plus like a second this year. And for Jacksonville, they would have to be convinced that this wasn't the guy. Like if this is the guy, then they don't even make that trade. Like they listen to it, but they're not going to pull the trigger. I know last year the Dolphins offered a lot for Joe Burrow. Even though they were in position to get Tua, they wanted Joe Burrow and they offered a lot, and Cincy would not budge. So, if the team has that conviction, they're not going to move, but we don't know. Jacksonville may not have that conviction. They may want the extra assets. You just don't know.
If there's one zany owner left in the league, it's definitely the guy from Jacksonville. Him and his mustache make plenty of bad decision after plenty of bad decision. His mustache is wanted in 3 states. His son is the guy who owns AEW Wrestling. They're like a very eccentric family, to say the least, right? So, but I think that he would be tarred and feathered if he were to trade that pick. I really do. I really think they'd kill him.
I agree.
Now, the Jets, I can see the Jets trading out of number 2 for nothing, like a bag of peanuts and maybe a backup QB. You know what I'm trying to say? The Jets are a dumb organization. I think they don't take Wilson. I think they take Fields. I think that's what they're doing. I think they've talked themselves into Fields. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. I think it might be, but I think the Jets might have talked themselves out of Wilson into Justin Fields. That's what I expect to happen on draft night.
The bad news for Jets fans is that the good news, they fired Adam Gase. The bad news is they kept Joe Douglas, the GM. And we all know that, you got to get that whole tick out. You can't just leave a little piece in. You got to pull the whole thing out. They needed to fire that GM and start from scratch because this is a consequential draft for them. If they screw this up, it's going to set them back 5 more years.
Yeah. If you screw up a first a pick like this, I mean, you can't say that about the Jets because, they'll be screwed up, period. But like what I'm saying is, you pick a bad quarterback early, you're done. You're done for at least 3-4 years because you're trying to figure out, is he good enough? Do we get rid of him? Like you're stuck at least 3-4 years. Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And then finally, the offensive lineman. I think you're going to have like 4 or 5 O linemen go in the first round, and people aren't ready for that. They only know really 2 people's names. Most people only know Sewell and what's his face, Slater. I don't think people pay attention to the kid from Notre Dame. What's his name? I don't even remember his name. There's a kid from Notre Dame. Then there's Darisaw. Then there's
I like Darisaw. Yep.
There's the one more tackle that's got that name. Oh, the guy I said, Vera Tucker. There's a couple.
Yep.
All three of the guys I just mentioned. I think it's Leichenberg or something like that. The guy from Notre Dame. But those 5 tackles will all go in the first round. Like that's what I mean. Like it's gonna be like a night of runs. It's gonna start off going like this position, quarterback. Then you're gonna get the wide receivers and skill people. Then you're gonna get cornerbacks. Then it's probably gonna go defensive ends. I think then we'll probably hit safeties at that point. You know what I mean? But we'll finish off with tackles.
I mean, I think Leatherwood is a really quality tackle from Alabama. On that same team, I think Landry Dickerson is a really good center prospect.
Perfect. Huge. It's freaking huge.
He's going to make a team, and they're going to be very happy when they pick him.
Huge. Beginning of the second round. That's who I would covet as a Giants fan. Like I would want that guy because you put him on our line. Hey, forget about it. What about running backs? How about how many running backs would go in the first round? Is that what you're saying?
I'll be honest, guys. I think I think there's a good chance Etienne could be taken before Harris. I think they could be 2 in the first round. Yeah, and I think
Etienne and Harris.
Right.
You think it would be Etienne and Harris?
Yes.
You don't think one of the North Carolina guys sneaks in?
Not in the first round, I don't think. I think they'll be second round guys.
Isn't that a shame when you think about their talent? But now they're running back, so we know that they won't go till the second round.
That's the value of the position now, unfortunately.
All right, and then here's my and I'm gonna write this down too. Here's my long shot. Does a kicker get picked? And if so, what round?
I mean, I think there was a punter this year that was halfway decent. You know, if you have a really good
there's a kicker punter kid. There's the kid who kicks and punts. I know that for a fact. I don't know what school he's from, but he's a field goal kicker and a punter. He's a really good punter and a decent field goal kicker. And if you're a team looking for roster spots, that's the guy you want. The guy who can punt and kick field goals, right? You get one roster spot for that. You can add an extra lineman or whatever you need. I forget what the kid's name is. I'll come up with it for next show, or I'll leave it in the comments when we're done. But,
and I know Borregales is probably the highest ranked kicker from Miami. I mean, he's pretty highly ranked for a kicker. Max Duffy from Kentucky is the highest rated punter. So again, there's a place for those guys, but you know, I know last year the Dolphins in the 6th round, or was it the 7th? They took a long snapper. You know, like you laugh, but that guy's going to play 11, 12 years in the NFL. There's a value to that.
Raiders took Janikowski. I never laughed at that pick. He was there forever. Janikowski was there forever. So it's like, you know,
Ray Guy was drafted also by the Raiders as a punter in the 1st round, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, so it's kind of, you know, it's hard to argue. I think people put value.
Nope.
I think people put value on something they should put value on. You know what I mean? They're overvaluing and undervaluing. Yeah. All right, so Ray, we will be here next week live for the draft. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of. I'm looking for trades. I'm looking for a lot of weird stuff. I'm excited for it, though. I'm excited for it. I really am. Hope to have Kev the Genius back. Hope to have a couple people back, actually. And then now after this show, we're going to have legit fantasy basketball. Coach TJ will be on to guide us through that. He's got a lot to talk about with that on there. Do you guys have anything to say before we wrap this up? Matt, I know it's been impossible to get through to you, but if you get anything else to say, throw it at us. I see his mouth moving.
Yeah, it's moving.
Any words?
Yeah.
All right. Ray, you get anything to say before we go?
Looking forward to the draft next week, and I'm sure there'll be some more news as we lead up to it. Maybe, you know, even a couple of trades.
Yeah. And this Sunday when we do the show, we're going to do some fun lists. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We will talk a little bit about the draft, but not too much because we're, you know, you don't want to oversaturate. But yeah, that wraps it up. So for the Card Hog, Mastradamus, For Brother Ray and our lads draft guide, it's me, Mike Lepre, King Mike L for Legit Fantasy Sports, bringing you legit fantasy football. We will see you again on Sunday. Thank you. Look forward to basketball next.